Hello everyone, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, all right. So, a very good evening to all of you. This is Ibrahim Sibratullah over here, and I'm sure you all are aware about what exactly are we here for. Okay, so without wasting much time, let me just go ahead and introduce you all to someone among us who is an architect that got graduated from Hyderabad and went on to pursue masters in architecture and neuroscience from a very prestigious college in America called Illinois Institute of Technology, and now is starting India's first research focused architectural firm that has an aim that not even a single architectural firm in India has till now focused upon. Now, what that aim is and what that research which her firm will be going upon, okay, which her firm will be focusing upon, let us hear about it from the trainer itself. So, my dear students and all the professional architects and academicians who are in the session today, let us welcome architect Hashika.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing great today. Thank you so much for the introduction, sir. I haven't got a better one until now. Yeah. So, okay. So should I introduce myself first? My sir has given you a very good introduction, but let me tell you something about myself. I have graduated from CSIIT, which is in Hyderabad, which is affiliated to JNFU. I think most of you students know about it. And it was a little rough ride for me when it came to architecture. I wasn't intended to get into architecture, but I did. And now I got this interest in research and pursuing my master's in sciences in architecture in Illinois Institute of Technology, which is in Chicago. And I am working under Professor Vedran Mimica, who is a great architect and he is a great academician. He's written a lot of books. And my prior, the main research element is architecture and neuroscience. It links about how your brain thinks about how the spaces, the colors, the lighting, and everything that's around you. So that is what I'm doing right now. And I am here in India right now to start my very own India's first research only architecture firm, which majorly focus on research. And why I have chosen research is because you will be seeing a lot of architecture firms around the world where they're just focused only on design. And this is one thing that I'm not happy about, because any design that is happening in the world or anywhere needs a specific research that is to be done in terms of your client, in terms of material, in terms of the site and everything that's around you. And it is the primary focus which is being lost in more or less the modern times, and a lot of laymen getting into the field. So that is why I've started my research architecture firm. And I don't know, I'll come up with more updates if you guys are willing to listen to me. And okay, so today I think we're going to Okay, so today I think we're going to start with our workshop. So do I start? Do I wait? We have 30 participants with us now.
Please show no remorse. Let's start.
Okay. Okay, no remorse, guys. Let's start then. Okay, is everything clear?
Yes, we can see it very clearly.
Okay, the whole screen. Just I'm bad with the technical stuff. So yeah, everything's good. Nothing's going around here and there.
Yes, all is good. Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
take that as yes. Okay. So today I'm here to have a workshop with you guys, which is about the architecture career development workshop. And this workshop will primarily focus on a few key elements. Now I'm not able to, okay, yeah, that's good. Give me a minute, guys, please bear with me. Okay, so today's presentation or the whole agenda of this workshop will be about your portfolio design, how to design your portfolio, how to know for whom you're designing, and what are the things that you should add, you should eliminate, everything of that sorts, and your resume development, because resume is very important and this should be a part of your portfolio. So you will be also learning about how to develop your resume. And the third part of this will be your interview preparation, because most of you guys are going or applying for offices, and interview will be a part of it. So we'll be having an interview prep. And the fourth on the main part about the whole workshop would be about how to approach the offices, because a lot of them would usually, ask your relatives or your friends or your parents to, recommend, take me to this person, or because there is a construction firm in every street. So that is majorly happening. So I will tell you a few ways how you can approach the offices yourself and search for your offices which suits the best for you. So today it will be a 3 days workshop, but majorly today we'll be dealing with the portfolio design. I think the second day will be the resume development and the interview preparation. And the day 3 will be going about how to approach the offices, and we will be having a mock interview and portfolio review if you guys are interested. And I think sir will tell you a little bit about that. Okay. So today will be completely about how you're going to design your portfolio, when you're going to start it, how you're going to do it, what are the time, everything, which is about your portfolio. So let's get started. So I would want to ask this very open question about, and when you are starting your portfolio, this is a question that you should ask yourself. Why is a portfolio important for yourself? Or why is a portfolio important for an architect? And where do we use it? So architect's portfolio is like your Aadhaar card in India. So it more or less tells you about everything that you need or everything about yourself, and it's just your identity in the architectural world out there. So in the architectural realm, if you want to showcase yourself, it is just through your portfolio. It's not your face, it's not your anything else, but just your portfolio. So this is pretty important. And as an architect, when you're using your portfolio, why do you really use it? So the first thing would be about showcasing skills. So if you want to just collect all your work that you've done and put them into a file or a portfolio, and then you want to showcase whatever you're doing until date, whichever, second year, first year, third year, or you're a graduate, that's fine. And then a way of reflecting your ideas. It's not, portfolio is not just about, you have collected all your projects, your, the best ones, the worst ones, and you put them together. It's just not it. So when you are designing your portfolio, there is a lot of elements that are attached along with it and that will come along with it. And this will be about how you're going to showcase your personal element in the portfolio, where how you design it, how you put your pictures in it, what kind of colors you're using, what kind of fonts you're using, what is the tone of your portfolio that you're going to show. So how you're going to reflect your okay. Excuse me. I hope it's better now. Okay, so that will be another one. And I think majorly why you guys are here today is for the professional opportunity. And I think portfolio is one of the major aspects when it comes to, how you're going ahead with your office or your interview, or when you want to get a professional job. And portfolio is the best way, or the only way I can say, to start applying for the opportunities that you've got. So, and the other thing is getting feedback for your work. Suppose you're meeting a very big architect, or you're meeting a professor who's coming from different place. You just want to get their feedback. You want to know what they think about your design, because your professors, your faculty will be just going around in and around your designs for around 3 to 4 years. So they will have an opinion about you. But if you want an unopinionated feedback about your work. You're not just gonna, take and show your laptop and say, this is my work, this is my work. I'm gonna open AutoCAD and show, this is my design. That is not how things work. So if you want to get a proper feedback from any person for that matter, even if you want to ask me, you need a proper portfolio to put forward so that you can show everyone that, this is the work, these are the projects, this is how it's going, and this is how we go ahead with it. And the other thing is academic application. I don't know how many of you graduated or are in the final year of graduation. All of you might need your portfolio to submit to particular colleges or universities that you're planning to apply to, because it is a mandatory for any architecture student who is applying for a foreign university. I am not very sure about the Indian universities, but I think it is definitely an option that you have to give in your portfolio for your application. May it be master's, may it be PhD, may it be just any other course that you want to do, you want to pursue. Because I have pursued an interior design course, and while I was applying for that course, I had to submit a portfolio, and I think I was in my third year then, which I did simultaneously. So when I was doing it in the third year, I had to show the work that I've did until my third year to get things done. Okay, so let's get started. Okay. Okay. So the first thing that you have to do, am I clear until now? If you guys have any doubts or you want to put something forward right now, you want to ask me something, please go ahead. Because I'm going to start with the proper way to start the work part of it. Okay. Okay, so I think I'm going to start with, okay, thank you. So I'm going to start with it. So first thing that you have to do when you're developing your portfolio or you start developing your portfolio is finding your objective. Why do you need your portfolio? Which is a very, very important question that you have to ask yourselves when you start designing your portfolio. So especially your architectural portfolio, if you are, I don't think there are any NATA students out here. Because if there are any NATA students, if you're applying for somewhere abroad or you want to apply abroad, you will need a portfolio for your bachelor's as well. Just your creative work, your drawings, your sketches and everything. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so if you need that, you will be having to include all your sketches and images. So that will be your undergraduate portfolio. So other than that, I'm thinking that you guys are all already in architecture schools and about to graduate or graduated. So why do you need your portfolio is a very important question that you need to ask yourself before starting your portfolio. So the reasons that you will need a portfolio is for professional work, especially because you're applying for offices. If you want to settle into a proper office, you need a portfolio. And then next one is academic work. So if you're planning to apply for masters abroad, you need your portfolio, and you just want to record all your architecture works and keep them as this is what I've done until the whole 5 years. I have a box of all my architecture works. I just can't show it. So if you are a person who likes to archive all your work and keep it, this is what I've done in the past 5 years, then that is for you. And the fourth one is your personal use. And if you want to just boast yourself with your family and friends and say, this is what I've done, this is an amazing work, you want to see, that is another use. So these four criteria are majorly the why you want to design your architecture portfolio. And if you think that you've found which one is your thing, or it's a combination, maybe your professional and your personal use, it can be academic and your personal use. So depending on these will be the foundation of how you start developing your architecture portfolio. So if you're doing professional, it's different. When you're doing academic, it's different. It's for personal use, it's completely different. So you should know where you're starting. That will be your foundation. Know why you want to design this architecture portfolio. If someone is in the second or third year, they would want to do it just to archive your works and do it for your personal use. So if that is the case, it's a different portfolio. And if you're doing it, you're in your fourth year or your third year, or you want to go for an architect, as an architect, you want to intern outside, then you are going with a professional portfolio. So when there is this difference, please understand this will be your foundation. Always keep in mind what you're thinking about when you're designing your portfolio. And the second question, which is very, very important than why you need your portfolio, is who you're creating this portfolio for. And why this is important is because you cannot show an academic portfolio to your office architect, your principal architect, or whoever's in charge of your office. And you need to understand what is the important thing about, if you're applying for a professional job, so you will be having all your detailed drawings of your works. You'll be having your working drawings. You'll be including that. You'll be including all your 3D sketches, everything like that. And if you're going with the academic work, you will more or less be including topics that are a little more towards the academic aspect. So I was applying for an MS in architecture, and I was applying for a research-based course. So when I was applying for my portfolio, most of that was research work that I have done with regard to the design that I wanted to do. And if you're doing it to show your family and friends, if it is not your architectural friends, and if your family is not into the architectural background, you would not want to have a perfect portfolio. It would be something that will look aesthetically good, and then not about the details. But if you're applying for a professional portfolio, or you wanted to make it professional, then it should be crisp, clear, and very neat about how you're doing. And that is, I think, where you should know, because it's a very thin line where you start trying to understand the person you're going to face. And if you don't know, it's completely fine. You should be more or less inclined towards, is it professional, is it academic, or is it for my use? So when you're going to start with that, you should understand what kind of personality are you trying to convey through the presentation of your work. Because there are a lot of students who are my colleagues right now, who are very I don't know, elegant in terms of how they show their work. So they have a very professional portfolio. And there are others who are not into architecture. They're doing different works. I have a friend who is a baker, and she has a completely different portfolio of hers where she's showing off her cakes. So this is something completely different. So what kind of a person are you going to convey? Are you going to convey that you're a jovial person, you're sticking to your attitude, or you want to show that I am a very neat and decent person? Or even when you're putting in words, it's very important, if you want to put some nice, not very funny, but then a casual kind of words that into your portfolio, like, instead of just putting portfolio, you put my work. And that is more of a casual tone rather than that of a professional tone. Portfolio is more professional. My work is something casual. If you want to include terms like that, it very much shows what your character is and how you want to convey that to your prospect. And next thing that you have to do is find your inspiration. So when you start designing your portfolio, the first thing you have to do is go on the internet and search for a lot of portfolios that have already been done. Suppose you can have websites like Issue, there is LinkedIn, there is Behance, where you can find a ton of portfolios that are already done that you can take inspiration from. And there was this one particular portfolio that I saw when I was doing my interior design dissertation, which says tiny house, big scrutiny. And it was about a tiny house. It was a whole portfolio, and it was a fantastic portfolio. And it had a very casual tone. So when you're looking at something like that, you should go ahead and do with a casual tone. Okay. So this is one example that I have of the portfolio. If you can see, there are a lot of pictures, there's good representation. But this is not an architecture portfolio. So how do you design your portfolio? This is how you start designing your portfolio. The first thing that you do is collect all your projects. So you're going to start collecting all your, your first year projects, your second year projects, your third year, fourth year, And if you are already graduated, then you can ask your office to, give you some projects that you're proud about, and then collect all your projects. And when I told earlier about know your audience, right? So when I'm talking about that, so if you're designing it for a residential firm per se, and a firm that more or less designs a lot of residential homes, and most of you might have designed house design, if not for your thesis, in your first or second year of work. And that might not be, the best of the work that you've done, and you're not happy with it, and you're hesitating to put that in your portfolio. You can do two of the things. You can include it in the very beginning of your portfolio, and this is a fantastic option, and I think I have used this option, and I recommend you guys to do it. Please go and search for architecture competitions online. There are a ton of architecture projects, there are a ton of architecture competitions that are there. You can search it on Arc Daily, you can Design, all of these. They have a lot of architecture projects that are involved. So what you do is find the right fit, like go search, if there are any projects that are dealing with a housing project, or if you are a person who is into um, sustainability, or sustainable projects, which I am not inclined towards. But if you are interested in any of the sustainability projects, or if you are looking at something very particular, or if your office is dealing with only high-rise structures and you haven't designed any yet, so what you do is search for a competition project that involves your strategy, and pick that project. Take a week's time, or do it like a time problem where you sit for a complete day and develop the design all by yourselves completely. Don't copy your projects if you don't have it. So take the project from your competition project and start developing it. And when you develop it, with your skills at the moment, apply all of them and design and put them into your portfolio. This will really, really help you in your future. Like, maybe anything. So when I was applying, I didn't do much of the research, only my thesis was the research. So I was looking for more of research projects. There are a lot of competitions online where you can go and search. I graduated in 2021. So my works until my third year were completely pencil sketches. So it was all on paper and nothing online. So I couldn't use them, or I thought I couldn't use them. So I was just left with two projects. One was my thesis, and the other one was my seventh semester design, which was a huge deal for me. And I was really scared. And this was something that came to my rescue. So if anybody thought that, I don't have enough projects, this is an easy way for you. There are also some projects that deal with something called as tiny homes or tiny designs, which you can just finish up in a day or two, and that will be a very important element for your portfolio. So when you're collecting projects, if you don't find the right collection, please go search, and you will find the right kind of a project that you're looking for, and start designing it. Take time out to develop your portfolio. It is important. This is going to stay with you until you're going to the next step in your career, or next step in your education, whatever. So you do that. So collect all your projects from your first year, second year, third year, fourth year, or any competition projects, or anything that you've done and you feel proud about. Please don't collect your sketches, your hand-drawn sketches, unless they are worth mentioning in your portfolio. Please know what are the standards of the design or the architectural realm around you. Know what are the standards that's outside. Know where you stand, and portray what you think will be accepted to that standards. And then what you would do next is decide on your theme. So what you're going to do is start designing your portfolio and decide upon a theme. Excuse me. Okay, so you decide on your theme. So when you're looking at that, your theme would be, you can go with a friendly theme where you're going all colors and warm and nice ones. You can go with a earthy theme where you're going with all natural colors, going with browns and shades. And you can go with always gray. Gray is one of the best thing, and it will go with anything that's on your paper. So you can go with a multicolored theme, but please don't take too bright of a colors, or don't put dark pink or dark yellow, or some colors that are not visible. So decide on your theme depending on your work. So if you think that you have done uh, everything with a glass facade, so when there's a lot of glass facade, more or less yours will be in a blue or grayish kind of a tone when you're doing your portfolio. So make sure that you're going with the same theme. And if you have nice colorful projects, you have nice colored windows, or you have greenery around, please don't go with a grayscale when you're putting a picture in a black and white theme, and then you have colorful design. Portray it, show it, boast about your design. And another very important thing is determine the length. So when you're going ahead, now you've collected like 10 projects, 5 of mine which are the best, and 5 of mine which I've done in the competition, and I'm going to put all of that in, is not happening. So you have to know what is the length of your portfolio. Are you going with 1 project? Are you going with 2? Are you going with 3? Are you going with 4? Are you going with 5? Are you going with 10? Or if you're going with 10, how many pages am I going to include my portfolio in? And when you are including a portfolio, please do not consider your portfolio as a single page. So this is your portfolio. Do not consider this as your portfolio. Your portfolio is always going to be this. It is an open book. So when anybody is looking at a portfolio, is going to be something that's open. So whenever you're designing a portfolio, consider it as a spread, which is 2 pages at once. But make sure you're not putting, when you're flipping through your portfolio, if you're uploading your portfolio an issue, you'll be flipping through your portfolio. Please make sure that you have half of your building picture on one page and you flip it and the other half pops out. So make sure you're not doing that, and keep your spreads clear and know your length. So what I recommend is usually go with 4 to 5 very good projects of yours, and how you're going to organize it. So 4 to 5 projects is a very good length. You can include all the details of your project. You can have any other elements that you want to include about your project. If you're going with 6, then if there is a small project, or there's a first year project or something like that, you could include it in a single page, and you can add your resume to the other page. So think about how many are you going to do, and how long is your page going to go. And then order of the projects and story structure. So when you're developing your portfolio, you should be very sure about the order of the project. So if you're giving it for an academic portfolio, per se, like say you're going it for your university, and your university would want to see your gradual growth. Like, how have you started in your first semester? How have you grown until your 5th semester? And how your your professional practice was, and how your work is going. So when they want to see the scale, make sure your order is in the same way. Like, go with your first projects, and then go with your development stage, how you've started with pencil sketches, and then you've gone with beautiful designs, and then at the final year, you're giving all sorts of details of your architecture work. So let that be in a hierarchical manner. Go with low, bottom to top, and that is how it will go. And if you're going with a particular architecture firm and you're really interested in that firm, and you want to get into that firm, so what you do is do a quick research about which architecture firm you want to join. Look at their portfolio, look at their photos, look at their work, and then when you're doing that, analyze that yeah, they are doing something similar to what I've done in my second year project, so put that first and then show it. Or you can always think about what is the first thing that you've done, or if you want to show the best project that you've done all your drawings, you've done the sections, you've done the the elevations, you've done the electrical drawings, you've done the plumbing drawings, each and every drawing, and you are very proud of it and you want to include all of that, make sure that it fits into the right format, and then put that project first, because it is the most completed project of yours. So you put that first, and then you go with your second best or your third best, if that is how you want to characterize yourselves, like the wow factor, and then you go down. Or if you're a person who's like, I want a person to flip through all my portfolio, so go with, okay, this is the starting stage and the end is the wow factor. Like, see, this is what I've got now, so this is what I can get into when you're asking in your office. So, and you should know which you're going through and how you want to go ahead with. And the next thing is select your page format and analyze it as a spread, as I told you. So select your page format. I have taken a portrait format, but a lot of my friends and colleagues have chosen a landscape format. I have chosen an A3 format. You can go with an A1 or A2. Preferably A3 or A2 is good. So go with an A3 format, or there are students who are taking a square, which is very out of the box, not very out of the box, but something which is a little bit more unique than that of a rectangle. So you can take a big square or a small square, but please don't go with a round shaped portfolio or an oval shaped portfolio or the stars or those sorts of things, because first thing, you cannot fit your design into it, because most of your designs more or less are developed on a screen, which is a rectangle. So you want to make sure that fits into it. So unless you have a very beautiful project that is in a triangular shape, and all your first to final year projects are running around this theme of a triangle, then go ahead, put your portfolio, the sheet of your portfolio as a triangle. But if not, please don't go with a triangle or a circle. Just keep it simple and make sure everything fits in properly and you can arrange it. And the next thing is select your font. You should make sure about your fonts. Please don't use fonts like Chiller or Killer or whatever that is, which with the blood dripping down or with all the flakes coming out of it, or something that looks very vibrant, I can say. So make sure you're going with the right kind of font. You can go with sans fonts, because these are something more of a straight line fonts, and I always use them in my presentations and work. So when you're doing that, make sure you're selecting the right kind of font. And sometimes this might be an issue that you download a certain kind of font, but you're not able to apply these fonts into your presentations or your portfolios. So make sure the font is compatible and you're downloading the compatible file of whatever you want to use, and always take care of how your font looks in the whole broad picture. And the next thing that you do is make zones and create a template. Give importance to white space. So what you're going to do is make zones. You're going to divide your whole spread or your sheet into different zones. So here's going to be my picture. This is going to be my heading. This is going to be my subheading, and this is going to be the important points of my project. Or this is going to be the highlighted elements of what I'm going to display in the whole design. So make sure you divide it. See, you can see in the picture right here, like this is a font. You can see there is a heading, there is a subheading, and there is a number to it, and there is picture. So always divide your sheet in different zones and create a template out of it. Templates are very important. You can download free templates that are available on Behance. I have downloaded one from that. I'm a little bad with software, so, or you can create your own template. So first thing you do is analyze your project. So if there is, it's a very big project, make sure you're giving a little bit more space for your pictures and your images or your design. And if you're not a person who's into research and you don't have anything that you want to write about, but you should write something, but if you have very less, make sure you're keeping that to a bare minimum, where you're just putting some space for the written content and let your picture speak. And give importance to the white space. This is very important. And I have seen a lot of portfolios which are very clustered. They have all these 10 20 pictures together. One is big, one is small, and then they're just stuck together next to each other, and it's a whole spread. So don't do that. Make sure you're giving enough space between your pictures. It makes a lot of difference. If you want to see if you had the text right sticking up to the font, it will be very different. So make sure that you're giving enough white spaces. This is a priority. It's not only about your portfolio, even if you're doing it on paper, if you're giving a PowerPoint presentation or any presentation, white space is something that is very important and mostly ignored. So make sure you're giving the right amount of white space while you're designing. Now, this is an amazing portfolio, and you should also make sure, there is enough white space. Why did that person leave so much of white space here? Why? Because it goes along with the template or the context of what he's trying to show. See, it is going in a format and he doesn't want to disturb it. So if you're doing that, make sure you're giving importance to the white space. These are a few portfolio examples which I particularly like. So you're considering this as a spread here. And this is also considered as a spread, like a whole sheet. So make sure you're doing that right and the fonts are right. And these are some really good examples, and make sure the theme that you're choosing, per se, if you're using 4 color fonts in your design, like 4, or you're going with the analogous color scheme, and it's going to be dark and light and darker and light, something like that. Make sure your design is complying with it. Make sure your design speaks to it. Like, if you have a building that is completely, you have designed it somewhere, you have a green color in it and you're just putting a red color into it, won't really go well together. So make sure, if you have a green, go with the tones of green and put that into it. It's okay, you can take different colors and then add to your portfolio, but make sure they all go well together and make your project stand out. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the do's and don'ts of building an architecture portfolio. So first thing you have to do is attach your resume, which is very, very important. And it is the first and foremost thing to do in any architecture portfolio. They take your portfolio and the first thing they flip into is your resume. Even my professor, when I was talking to him later on, he told me that I look at the resume first because it more or less tells about everything about you. So if your portfolio is your Aadhaar card, your photograph is your resume. So make sure it looks nice. So you attach your resume, and I think in the next session, I'll be telling you how to develop your resume. So you're going to, add your resume to it, list your project duties. And this is, missed out in most of the cases, if you're working in groups, especially. So if you're working in a group and then you're very proud of that project, you're putting that in. And if you are not including what your responsibilities are, so if you are in your 3rd year and there is a group project and you worked on a very large scale project and you include that, your recruiter might not be very impressed, thinking, is it a project that she has done or he has done? Are you sure about that? Because they'll be having a lot of questions. Or if your recruiter starts asking you questions about particular things in your project, say, where has this been? How did you do this? And you say, no, I haven't done this. My group mate has done this. This is not how you answer or justify your work. So when you're doing that, make sure you list your project duties. You say, I have designed so-and-so block, or I have developed the electrical drawings, or I have, rendered the sketches, or I have done something what you have particularly done for the project, or, I have done the background research. Please mention what you've done so that further along, you won't be having a problem with it. And then please mention the software you've used in the project. So a lot of architecture firms either rely on Revit for BIM, that is Building Information Management, or your all of that, or they go with AutoCAD. So it's either Revit or AutoCAD. And if you're going with Revit, you use a different kind of a software. And if you are really a person who is like, I love Revit and then I do all my projects in Revit, and you're applying for an office which does use Revit, so it is a good thing. But if you are completely a person who is working with AutoCAD and your office is looking for someone who's doing Revit, it is a complete disaster. Like you cannot show the best that you've done. And this happened with me. I'm a person who works with Revit. I find it more user-friendly. And when I did my first internship, the company was completely about AutoCAD. It was completely about AutoCAD, and I was not very comfortable with the software. So when you're mentioning a project and if you want to make sure your recruiters knowing that you're good at the software, please mention below your project or below the renders or below the images what software you've used. Suppose you've used AutoCAD, and the rendering software that you've used Lumion or V-Ray or 3ds Max, however, whatever you have done. And if you're using a Revit software, make sure you mention it and make sure what kind of rendering software you've used. This will make it easier, the person to understand how professional or how proficient you are in those particular skills. So if you're very good at your Revit, because when you're going into jobs, it is 90%, it is a harsh truth, but 90% of it is about the softwares, and even what you're going to work further on will be on software. So you might not be given a lot of field work, or you might not be given a lot of research work. 90% of the work that you do is on the software. So make sure you're letting your recruiter know what kind of software you're comfortable with, and what kind of, what is the best software that you're given, or what is the best work that you're giving on your software. So they will know, okay, this person is good at Revit, and what extent, okay, he's good with design until the electrical drawing, so we're going to have to teach him this. So they will have an idea. So make sure you're mentioning what softwares you're going to use, and take care of your proportions. So when I'm talking about proportions, make sure the text and the images line up. So you're not going to put a 40 font and then have your for your heading, and your subheading will be 18. There's a huge difference with that, and that will make your portfolio look really stupid. So do not add things that are of that proportion, or you're having a very tiny image which has the details of your electrical drawings. It is something that will make your portfolio look bad. So make sure you're not putting small pictures for large drawings, or small pictures for details. So elaborate your drawings, make sure they look big enough and legible enough, even if you're looking at it from a particular distance. So do that, and give the glimpse of your personality, which is very, very important. Make sure you are showing yourself off as a person, as you are. So if you are a person who would like to keep it very minimalistic, simple, you are a person who is going with the minimal attribute towards your work. So make sure you're going with a minimalistic scheme or minimalistic theme for your whole portfolio. And if you're a person who is very vibrant and who is just like just show off, make sure you're doing that, but not in such a way that everything just pops into your eyes, but make sure you're doing it in a proper right way. So I have a friend of mine who's a friend in Illinois Tech. So he is doing his thesis, his master's thesis, and metaverse. So he's talking about how architecture and metaverse is, and he has a very completely different attitude to himself. He dresses in all colorful clothes, very unique way, and his work shows the same. He puts up presentations that are that just pop up. There is light coming around, and it comes slowly and then it goes fast and things like that. So when you're showing portfolio, make sure it's showing your element, showing what you are about yourself, what kind of a person you are. And I think art is a very good way of that, and your portfolio is your art. So what you should not do is add too many projects, which I've told you earlier. Please do not put 10 or 8 projects at once and cluster them all together with tiny pictures. Make sure you're choosing the best projects that are best for you, that are best for your office or the company that you're applying for, or are best for your audience. Like, you should know who you're applying this for. So when you know that, make sure you're doing it in the right way. If it's a landscape firm, make sure you're including a lot of landscape projects or something towards that, and make it right. Always know your audience. Your audience, or the person you are submitting this portfolio to, is your client. How you work in architecture, you talk to your client, you understand your client, you should know your client's requirements and then design according to it. It's the same way with the portfolio. You know who the person you're designing it for, know their requirements. If it's an architectural firm, what kind of firm it is. Does it deal with high-rise structures? Is it a MNC company which is just all about technical works? And you should understand your client very with precision, and that will help you design the best portfolio. So understand that and include the projects accordingly. Not everything, not your best, but the best for your your audience. And then the don't is that please don't ignore your consistency, because just because you have 10 projects that are completely done, don't put them all in. Consistency is important. If your projects are not done. So you're applying for a residential firm, and your residential project is the one that you did in the second year, and you want to include that. There is a way to include it. You can blur out the backgrounds, work with the software, Photoshop, and try to include it. But don't just scan that on CAM scanner and then put that on your portfolio. Just think how it would look on a white background or a black background. It will not look very good. So make sure you have the consistent text to it. Like, make sure whatever you are putting into your portfolio is consistent enough. Just if it's not done completely, if it is not worth it, know the worth of the project and include that. Always quality is better than quantity. So make sure it is consistent. And this is a very, very important thing, exceeding 15 MB. So when you're designing any architecture portfolio or any of your works, make sure it is not exceeding 15 MB to 20 MB, because especially if you're applying for universities, they will give you a specific requirement for your portfolio that it shouldn't exceed 15 MB. And if you're developing it in some kind of a software which takes a lot of space, make sure you compress it well, and make sure that compression looks good. Don't go with mediocre ones, and make sure this is going right. This is going about right, because this is a very important thing. You do everything and you put the best quality pictures, you've done everything right. And if it's coming around 1 GB, you won't even be able to upload it on their website, because the computer makes sure it's just 15 MB. So make sure your portfolio size has been reduced to the bare minimum, but your quality is still there. And next thing is about clustering the project. I just want to make sure to inform you guys that there is a YouTube live going on. So if you guys want to join up there, you can do that. And the last thing about it is clustering the project. So which I've told you earlier, don't put 20 images all there packed up, and make sure this is done. So don't do that. I have seen a lot of undergraduate portfolios which are like this, and please do not do that. Make sure you're giving enough space for the projects. You're giving the correct number of projects and how you're going to do about it. The right images, choose your right images. You're not going to give a detailed, a wall detail or your door detail right next to your whole building, because it doesn't make any sense. Make sure it's an evolving project. So, you show your whole project and then get into the floor plan detail, and then get into the details of whatever you're going to show. So make sure it goes into an evolution instead of just showing, a great big picture and then just getting into the details. It won't make much sense when a person is looking at it. So this is one example of a portfolio. Although, see, there is a lot of white space that they have provided. There is a proper image of the project. Then they're going into the floor plans, and then they're going into the details of the project. And this is going on all around. It's a theme that they have been carrying around. And see, it goes well with black and white because it's playing with light. And if you have a project that is more colorful, please go with a colorful scheme or put that on white. So this is again the details of the project. So they've got into the details and how it works with the light, or how it works with the day. They've given site, and they've given the elevations and sections. So make sure when you're explaining your project to a person, you are not doing it as a jury. This is not your jury where you open your portfolio and say, see, sir, this is my drawing. This is what I've done. This is what I think it is. It is something that you're just showing around. So make sure the person can understand what you're trying to say. Label the images, say this is the floor plan, this is the section, this is the elevation, and these are the details. So always label them, make sure it is going in a hierarchical order, and make sure it is easily understandable to any person. So I have a few concluding points about today's presentation. So when you're doing your portfolio, so make first thing that you do when you're designing your portfolio, it's the first thing when you start doing your portfolio. And I think most of you might not know about this. You make a mini portfolio out of a paper, like, just tear a piece of paper right out of your book, just tear it and then fold it into half and make a couple of papers, like, take 5, 6 to 10 papers of it, and then fold it at the end or staple it at the end and use it as your personal portfolio. You put that beside you and write, okay, on the first page, okay, I do my resume, so that is done, and then I flip the page around, and I write this, I write that. So this is where second project is going to come, and how you're going to do it. So you design a mini template of yourselves in your hand, which comes in very handy. So when you start designing or developing it on your screens, it'll be like a reference to you. You're like, okay, this is my second point to do. This is how I'm going to do. So when I'm designing or developing a template for yourself instead of downloading one, then you can just take that as your reference. Or if you have downloaded a template and you want to make changes, it'll come in handy. Or you want to, take the template itself, and then you want to make sure, you're fitting everything according to the template, do that. Take the template, draw it on your screen, and make sure everything is right. So make a mini portfolio. It comes in very handy, and just tear some piece of papers, put them together, staple them at the end, and draw whatever you want to write, and make sure, and you can just do it twice or thrice. Just take some rough papers and do it. It comes handy. And second, very important thing, proofread your portfolio at least 3 times. I'm telling you guys, there are people who have found very, very silly mistakes, and you don't know. You might think, oh no, nobody's going to notice, but just in case a person notices it, it gives a very bad opinion, very bad impression on you. What you do is completely design your portfolio. Don't proofread it, one after the other. Like, just, okay, I'm done proofreading once, I go do it again. Take some time off, like do it in the morning, take some time off, do it in the afternoon, take some time off, do it in the evening, so that your mind is a little more refreshed, so that you will understand where you've gone wrong, what are the mistakes. And if you're just doing it continuously, then your brain will just skip through it. Your brain is amazing. It just swipe through it, and then you'll not even notice. And another thing that you could do is ask your friends or your family to proofread it for you. Once you're done doing it yourself 3 times, go and take it and give it to your family member or your friend and say, proofread this for me. And this with 2 or 3 people. There are a lot of people around, and so that it'll help you out. You're just making sure that you're not skipping or doing any grammatical errors, or you're not doing any simple spelling errors. Some people go wrong with the spelling of center, they go wrong with the spelling of sections, they go wrong with the spelling of plan sometimes, that you don't notice. It's not that you don't know the spelling, it might be that you don't notice it, and it happens. It's a typo error, it happens, and this gives a very wrong impression to anybody who's looking at a portfolio. So make sure there are no typo errors, and especially if you're a person who types on your phone and then copies it, because I do that. It comes in handy. So I type it on my phone and then I copy that text, and your phone autocorrects it sometimes, and it might not be the right spelling that you're looking for, because architectural the Jordan of the architecture is different. So when you're doing that and you're trying to put those words ahead, and your phone just changes that, and when you copy it, you go wrong. So make sure you don't do that. Make sure whatever you're doing is about right, and proofread it as many times as possible. And before you go, even before you getting into the interview, make sure you proofread it. And then make sure your text is not camouflaged. And this happens a lot of times. Like you can see over here in the right, it is camouflaged. Like you can't see if there is, if suppose like this person has chosen it in the right way, but if you are looking at something and this is a dark background and you put a black text on it, it will just be disappeared, and a person cannot understand what you're writing. These are all common errors that happens all the time. And if you're taking a beige background, and then you start adding your text in yellow color, it will not be even seen. You can't even see with your naked eye, God forbid, with your recruiter. So these are all very simple mistakes that you make, and make sure you just that you're not be you will be happy with your portfolio, but the person who's looking at it might not be very happy. And it's important you're designing it for others until unless for personal use. And create a PDF of your portfolio. So this will happen if you're doing it on Microsoft PowerPoint. Some of you create your presentations or portfolios on Microsoft. So when you're doing that, it initially shows properly, everything is intact, but when you convert it into PDF, it's all just changed. The formatting is changed. So make sure when you're done with your portfolio, take PDF format of it. So make sure everything is in the same place where you have kept it. So if it's here and there, make sure you're arranging it and redoing it, and make a PDF out of it, and do that. And the next thing is keep updating, always keep updating, guys. Like if you're in the second year or third year and you say, oh yeah, I don't have to include any projects anymore, your the office person would think, okay, this is the skill that he has, and this is not worth what you are doing. So make sure you are updating your portfolio. If you're done with your graduation, make sure you have included everything until your graduation. If you're working, please include that, and eliminate the ones that are not required. And if you are you're completed your master's, you're applying for a PhD portfolio, then it's a completely different story. Make sure you're updating, always updating. Make sure your best is in front of you, and then keep it real. Please do not copy others' portfolio. You can always take inspiration, but do not copy somebody else's portfolio work, or do not ask your friends, I'm out of time, I'm running out of time, please help me, please give me your portfolio, or please give me some of your work, some of your project that I can include in my portfolio. Don't do that. Make sure if you don't have time, reduce the amount of projects. Like if you're doing, give 3 projects, but give your best projects. Don't copy it from others. Or if you have only the projects that are from your second or third year, and then they're all the manual project. And this is a very important thing, and I think most of you will face it at this point of time, where most of you have designed your projects in manual format and you're not able to convert them into this format. Use some tools like Photoshop or other softwares where you can edit the backgrounds of that so that it merges in properly into your portfolio, and it looks good. So you can use it. It's not very wrong. But if there are any errors, or if you have scratched it, or if your tutor has marked something on it, or your professor has marked something on it, make sure you erase it or clear them out and then put them forward. And always do not copy it. Take it from inspiration from other portfolios, work on it, develop on it, but do not copy it from others. Keep it real, keep it yourself, show whatever you are best at. Because even in the future, if you join the office and then you say, I know Revit, and then your office is completely on Revit, you don't know Revit and it's just AutoCAD, you're going to face issues. Everything is going to stop right there. So they will teach you, but make sure you let them know what you know. So keep it real. And this is a wonderful example of a portfolio. Perfect, image selection, perfect font, nothing is camouflaged. And another thing that I wanted to say is, a lot of you people will think black is classy and would like to go with a portfolio that is in black. But if you're applying for your master's, or if you're applying for a position in an office that has been established for a long time, you should understand that your audience is not your friend, or not a person who's younger than you, but a person who is around 10 to 15 years older than you, or 20 years. So when you're putting something in black and white, that contracts white, if it's a white background and it's a black text, it will go well. But if it's a black contract and it's a white text, it won't fit in very well for the person who's looking at it. The viewer might have some issues, and if you've highlighted some points, they might skim through those and you might not get the right word ahead. So if you're having portfolios like this, and it makes a lot of difference, right? So make sure you are having the right kind of portfolio in your hand, and make sure the text is going right and it is legible to everyone. A good portfolio will justify why it exists, but a great portfolio will introduce someone to who you are. And this is something which is a very powerful quote. So make sure you introduce yourself with your portfolio. Make sure your Aadhaar card is ready to show to anybody in the architectural world. Thank you. And I think this is it for today. And if you want a personal one-on-one session where I can discuss your portfolio, I can give you a portfolio review, I think you should contact Sir about it. He'll let you know a better way. And if you really want, if you want to give any suggestions about this session, or if you think it's going good, it's going bad, or if you want me to include anything, please let me know today so that I can include in the presentation tomorrow. And I think this is it for today. If I've missed out anything, I'll cover it tomorrow. And tomorrow we will be discussing about your resume, how to develop your resume, and how to, get your internship right, your internship interview right. Yeah.
Hello, Hashika.
Hi.
I am Esanet. I'm currently in my fourth year. I just wanted to ask one thing that whenever you're developing a portfolio, so which software did you like? Do you think is the best? Is it Photoshop or Illustrator? Like which helps in making it quick?
I think InDesign is a very good software instead
Okay.
of Photoshop. Photoshop is a good software as well. Photoshop is very handy, but InDesign is a very good option. But when you're including pictures, what I did while I was doing my portfolio is that all the pictures and everything, all the text, or if you have to include any specifications to your design, I did it in Photoshop and then took those and put that in InDesign. I downloaded a template and then used those images in the template. So a hybrid way is, I think, a very good way. And you can ask sir about softwares. He's very good with that. And yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else?
Hi, ma'am. This is Neha.
Hi, Neha.
First of all, this was a very good session. It felt like we are talking to a senior, a friend, a teacher, a mentor, all in one.
Thank
It was
you.
really good. In the flyer that sir has sent, your course, specialization in architecture and neuroscience, it was really
Yes.
so cool. It sounded so cool. So could you please give some enlightenment on that? How is
Oh,
that
yeah,
linked up?
sure. Yeah, I have been hearing a lot about that. People ask me how you got into it. So if you really need a session on that, I think you should just notify sir about it. I can give you a proper session about how the education systems run in US, UK, and how you can apply for your masters, because most of you would want to go for your masters. And I personally recommend to go for masters because architectural education abroad is amazing. It's just amazing. You'll love it. You'll fall in love with architecture all over again, and it's comparatively very less stress free. So we can do a workshop on that, full-fledged workshop, if you guys are interested in. And please, you can talk to sir about it. And when you're asking about the architecture and neuroscience course, so when I applied for the university, this is a Master of Science course. So there are 3 different courses. So when you're applying for a Master of Science, it is more of a research-based course. So when it's a research-based course, you try to learn about how you can do architectural research. And in this, where I get to choose what I want to learn about, and I personally had an impression that architecture is not just building, it's about how you feel in the building. So when I felt that, then because of that, excuse me. Yeah, so when we were excuse me. So when I was doing that, my professor, he's a very nice man. He is Professor Vedran Mimica, and he has advised me how I can go through with this. And in the US, it's more like I am teaching you and I'm learning from you. So most of the faculty were not very sure about the neuroscience part, but there were a lot of suggestions that came in. So that is how you're directed into the neuroscience course. So if you're really interested in that, please let sir know. And also, today's workshop is going to be converted into a full-fledged design course that we are planning ahead, where you can enroll yourselves and I can tell you how to start your design research, how you can go about your design, and at the end of each semester, how you can develop your portfolio, which you are ready to show your jury, and at the same time, how you will be using it for archiving for your later on portfolio at the end.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Am I clear with what I've mentioned earlier, Neha?
Yes, ma'am, that's right. But do you have a lot to do with psychology?
Oh yes, I have a lot of psychology books and things like that. Yeah, a lot to deal with psychology. Yeah.
Okay. So, ma'am, it's not like a concrete course, but it's you who went with both of these. Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not a
okay.
concrete course. It's really hard to find. But when you're finding for courses, make sure there is an element where you can include your interests. So when you're going with searching for courses abroad, make sure you have the flexibility to choose what you want to study.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Harshita here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell that the session is really good. It is really clear. The words were apt. It is so like it is just minimalistic, and it is something maybe we were wanting to know.
Thank
So
you.
And also regarding, as you said, you're interested in something kind of research, something related to spaces and all.
Yeah.
So I'm studying in third year right now.
Mhm.
How do you think, how did you get to know your interest? Maybe research, like when did you start getting into research, or how
Oh.
did it just all go?
It's a long story, let me tell you. I was not a person who was into architecture or anything. So when I was doing my 11th and 12th, I took an MBPC without telling my parents because I was into biology and my dad was into construction, so I never got the chance to get into the medical field. So that was one thing that I always kept with me. And when I started doing architecture, there was a lot of when I was developing the concepts, when I was developing the research, and when I did my thesis, my thesis book was this fat, and I'm not even exaggerating about it, was this fat. So if you go to JNFU, maybe you'll find it like the fattest book in the store. So yeah. So when I was doing this research, I understood that research is something that I'm into rather than just the design. And the architectural the architectural realm right now is very much about softwares. It's just softwares for softwares, and you're working like a corporate slave to them, where they give you the designs, you have to implement the designs. And I think I didn't fit in the space. So that is where I understood research is my thing. And I wanted to direct myself in that way. Although it comes with a lot of hurdles, you are not given the proper recognition, but you just have to understand what you're good at. So there are two things: you have to understand what you like and what you're good at. So even if I'm really good at designing, I am not very good at putting that on a paper. So I need to know where I'm good at. So if I'm really good at that, then I will go ahead with it. If I'm not good at that, I will just leave it. So understand what your capability is. I'm sorry. You have to understand what your capability is, and you should understand where you stand in life and what you really like, what you enjoy. Because when I sit at home, I read like 20 books. This is what I do in my thesis. Like I have 20 books to read. I review all those books, and then I put that into my thesis. So I really enjoy it. It's just for me. So you should understand what you enjoy the most and go ahead with it.
That's absolutely great. So, one more, just a small question. How did you think, like, psychology, it is something really important as spaces. Like, if you're not really into software, you need to get into something else, maybe you're interested in. And how did you think that maybe psychology is something that is like really important? How did you get this thing actually?
Actually,
Maybe you,
yeah, please
yeah.
complete it.
Maybe your professors helped you, or was it the college which you studied your bachelor's in, or maybe it was after your college, your bachelor's, which you maybe took some time off, you did some research on what to do, things like that. How did it go?
So first initial thought of mine was, I think in the third semester or the fourth semester, while we were designing a kindergarten, and my professor told me something about how do you feel in this space and how do you understand that. So when you're doing that, I just have a message, excuse me, but I'll tell you. I'll get back to you, CB Sai Prasad. Just give me a minute. Yeah. So what happened is he was telling a person won't spit in a metro station or an airport, but he would definitely spit in a bus station. So in the railway station or a bus stop, you can see people just spitting out of their mouth, but this won't happen in the metro or in an airport. So what do you think it is? It is about how you influence the psychology of a person, how elegant the space looks. If the place is well lit, properly done, the corners are almost right and everybody is admiring it, nobody would want to go and spit over there. So when that is happening, you should understand that there is a lot of your subconscious mind that is involved into it. That is something that triggered me at the point. And when I just started doing research about it, I had to learn about I think when I was designing the hospital is where I came across, the healing gardens, or, how a view from your window would affect the way, your healing process, your whole health is just about the view, about the color and all of this. And I was like, this is something more than this, something more than just the color, something more than just the view. There is a lot more to it. And that is how, when I was applying for my master's as well, I've mentioned that, this is what I want to learn about. I want to learn about human behavior. And that is my concentration. So I learn about human behavior. I learn about human sexuality, how a woman sees in space, how a man sees in space, how a gay person feels in space. And this is how you evolve through what you're doing. So, you understand how your mind thinks. If there is something that is triggering, I feel happy in a cozy space. I like to stay in a space that is very tiny, but people around would not want to be happy about it. And it triggers a lot of emotions. And I've particularly come across an article that talks about how crimes are reduced in some localities because of the architecture, but how you can eliminate blind spaces, blind spots. And I think this is something which is very much related to architecture. And that is how I got the link of it. And then I applied for a master's with the opinion to learn about human behavior. And when I got into my master's, my professor has told me that the field of architecture and neuroscience that you're currently looking into has been evolving. There are a lot of brain studies that have been coming over a lot. And, that is how you start, evolving through yours, and how I got there.
That's absolutely great. And just one thing which we don't have here is people over there, they usually, like the professors, they teach and they learn parallelly. That is one thing which is really good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Which is why I recommend you to, take masters abroad. I am not very clear about the UK, but then US, the professors are just amazing. They give you criticism, but it's constructive. So you get a lot of constructive criticism about, how you're going to do about it. If it's something, if you're going wrong, in India, what I faced was like, I did a thesis that was a little more unique than my classmates. They were doing more of like a hospital or a college or something, and I wasn't doing some sort of that, that sort of thing. I was doing transitional housing for women, and it was related about how psychology or how their minds and their backgrounds can change through architecture or make them feel much better. You can't do everything, but you can feel much better. And I got a lot of criticism for it. I was failed a semester for that, but I didn't get a constructive criticism. So when they tell you, you are doing this wrong, or this is not what is happening, they don't tell you why is it wrong, or what is the other way to look into it. If you're saying that this wall is not right, then how do we go about it? Like, what do we do about it? What is the next step? They don't tell you the next step, but these professors in the US, they tell you what your next step is. Maybe look at this, look at that. And if you say no, it is not a problem. They're completely okay with it. They'll tell you, no, okay, you're saying a no, that's great enough. So, okay, tell me what do you think is better for you? And that happened a lot with me. So yeah, they are very supportive and they're very understanding.
That's absolutely great to hear. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, over the I think in US and UK, I'm not saying this is bad, but then if you have a point and you prove it, you prove your point, you have an
Right.
argument for it, they
Right.
appreciate it. But here they are like, "Aukad mein rahe."
Exactly. There are lots of issues that I faced in India. Actually, I was traumatized by the end of my final year. I was literally traumatized. I can use the word traumatized. I was very scared, to move abroad and study masters. I'm like, I'm not going to do this. But once I got there, I just fell in love with architecture. Although the climate was not very friendly,
Did you
but
not
I
feel
fell in
like
love.
a culture shock or like just, a shock from education, different education?
No, I was more than happy about that because I'll tell you about the system. There is more about credit system, and you can pick the courses that you like or something that is related to your thesis. So there is no culture shock that I faced particularly, or there are a lot of Indian students in the US, let me tell you this. So you will find a community for yourselves, that's for sure. So other than that, your professors are very friendly. They're not very judgmental that, she's from India, she doesn't know, but they're completely all right. They understand, they'll tell you, they'll help you wherever you need, and you're really good to go.
That's one thing I guess we need to really imbibe in our education system because it changes everything basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I have a
Hello.
question.
Yeah.
I'll just get back to you. There is a question from CB. Hi, CB. So you've asked me that you have a lot of manual works until 4th year, and for the 5th year, you need, you have this full softwares and how you're going to apply. So I have given you an example for it. Please, search for competitions. There are a lot of competitions around. There are projects which have, small detailing, but a lot of thinking to do. Like, when I did my portfolio, there was a project which says you have to build a small house to stay, which could be folded into and carried back on your bicycle, or like a trailer, which is like 3 meters by 2 meters. So which is like very small space, and you have to, make sure that compresses and fits into it. So it is something very challenging thing. So if you want to do that, there are a lot of competitions like that. Please go. Take a day's time, put it as a time problem. Okay, I'm going to start this design at 5 o'clock and I'm going to end it by evening 5 o'clock. So make sure that is there. And I'll get back to you, Priyanka. So make sure, you're doing that, or do one thing is take a few projects from your 3rd or 4th year and then include them in the beginning and at the end, because you're not going beyond 4 or 5 projects. So make sure 2 of them are those projects and your final year projects are involved, your thesis is involved. Oh yeah, and I forgot to tell you something, guys, when you're doing your thesis, or when you think your thesis book is important, or you've done a lot of research, especially the ones who are interested in getting into the research field, what I did is included a QR code. So when I'm including a QR code, a person can scan it and look through the whole thesis of mine instead of just the design that I've put on the portfolio. You can't put everything in the portfolio. So try to include a QR code. It's very easy. You can just make it online and then you can put it on. And include projects of competitions. Yeah, CB. So include some projects from the competitions, 1 or 2, or just one project is good. Include one project from your 5th year. Include projects from your 3rd year, and another
So this
competition project.
QR is a link to your drive, or like?
Yeah,
where
link
does
to
it
your
go?
drive. Right,
Okay.
right. You'll get it through a drive. And CB, am I clear about your question, or do I need to answer anything else? Please let me know. And I have Neha here. Priyanka? I'm sorry, not Neha. Sorry, Priyanka. And she's asking, I would want to do masters in aerospace architecture. Do you know? I'm sorry, I don't know anything about it, but please do leave me a message in the WhatsApp group. I will search and I'll get back to you. I am not sure. I'm not very sure about it, but I will definitely get back to you about it. Yeah, I think somebody else was talking and I missed that out. Please.
Yeah, I just had a question, but okay, well, I'll just ask you. I mean, you seem really passionate about neuroscience and stuff, and I share the similar interest. So I've this semester we just had to choose about our thesis topic and all. So I've chosen it's regarding a therapy center that's much needed, like in response to COVID-19 and stuff. So I just wanted to know, what books would you recommend for me to research on, so that uh, I get strong in the research part, so I develop an efficient design.
There is a book called Architecture and Embodiment, which is by Harry Mulgraves. I don't think this would be the right thing for you. Because it's very complicated. It's all about how your brain functions and everything.
Okay.
But I think we should go with a book called Architecture and Neuroscience. I'm not sure if I have it with me right now, but it's a small book. It's a small book. It has 3 articles. I think that will be a good start for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and if you want to connect with me, or if anybody wants to ask any more questions or anything related to my master's or architecture, you can connect with Sir about, you can mail him on you can WhatsApp Ibrahim Sir personally, or you can connect with him via the ISAA India Instagram page and anything like that. And is Germany good for masters in architecture? Europe is a good place for architecture. I personally like Europe. And why I say Europe is good is because the fees that you pay for your education is very less while compared to that of the US. But when it comes to the opportunities, the later on opportunities, like if you are a person who is into research, Germany is a good place. But if you are a person who is into softwares, who want to work, who wants to earn money, US is your place. So Germany is good, but if it's in terms of education. But if you're looking in terms of your master's in, you're more of a software person rather than the research person, then please come to the US and you will find jobs pretty easily. I don't know who this is. This is Usmita, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, if I've answered your question right, please let me know. Any more questions, guys?
Hi, Sejal this side.
Hi, Sejal.
Actually, I wanted to know if we are, for example, someone asked about Germany. I'm looking for masters in France. So both in Germany and France, we will be studying in German and in French. So does that work as a barrier if we come back to India to find jobs and everything?
When you are doing your jobs in India, let me tell you the harsh truth about the Indian system of jobs. If you want to get yourself in a very good position, masters doesn't matter. The persons who are trying to go to Europe for education, you're telling France, Germany, anywhere, it's more about the education system that's in the Europe is more research based. So when you're learning anything in the Europe, you'll be learning more in a research-based format. And when you come back to India, there'll be no research for you to do. You are just a corporate slave where you sit and start working on your softwares. So your question again was about if
The
it will
language.
make a difference. And
The
no, the language, there are two things in Europe. Europeans are very particular about their language. So you're more or less about wandering around, you find a second person talking in French or in German. But I don't think it's a barrier because most of your professors will definitely be instructing you in English. So that won't be a problem. You won't face any issues with that.
No, actually, my question is if I'm doing my studies abroad and I'm doing my studies in a particular language, say French. So if I decide to come back, so will that be a problem that I've done my studies in French? So will that be a barrier for me if I come back to India?
I'm not sure about that, but I don't think that'll be an issue because knowledge is knowledge. It doesn't matter which language you're getting your knowledge in.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I have a question from CB again. It's clear, however, I need to know how to make them recognize me for master's apply. What competitions give it? Yeah, so CB, I'll tell you about this. When you're applying for your master's, if you are looking at a particular kind of a master's specialization, so I'm into neuroscience, but there are a lot of specializations like sustainable architecture, or there is landscape architecture, or there is there are high-rise net zero buildings. So there are a lot of specializations in architecture, and if you're looking at the particular specializations, so if you're looking at sustainable design and you haven't done any sustainable design in your bachelor's, then please find for a competition that will work for you. So go search for a sustainable architecture competition and work with that. That will be really good. And if you're good enough and you want to, if your project is amazing, and if you want to okay, and if you want to, your project is good enough and you want to put it on the website and you want to submit it to them, and you want to get it out, and if you really win the competition, it's great. But even if you don't, the participation is important and it will give you recognition. You can even mention it in your resume that I have participated. It's good that you win, it's great. You can add that as well. So yeah, make sure you understand who you're doing it for, take the brief of it and put that on your portfolio. Yeah, any more questions? Am I clear about that? Would you suggest for internship abroad or locally? Please do it locally, and I would suggest it personally. Do it in other states because you will understand it better how the other state run. Because India, in Hyderabad, you're just in a whole huge urban cluster. So just spread yourself out, go to Kerala or go to Tamil Nadu or go somewhere to the northern sides. And there is a different approach to architecture, approach to designing, especially if you're looking at the residential design. There's a different approach. So try doing it in different states, but abroad, not necessarily at the point. Please do it after your master's or bachelor's. Yeah. I'll take 2 more questions and I think I'm going to stop after that. Any more questions, guys?
Ma'am, I do want to ask about the internship. Right in this case, we know like where our calling is and we get to the good internship, then it's all well and good. It's all, cake and pastries. But then if we do not
Sorry,
find
Neha, I didn't get the first part of what you were talking. I'm sorry, it wasn't clear.
yeah,
Can you say
I
that
was
again?
saying for the internship, ma'am.
Mhm.
If we find our calling right now and we just get into what we want right from the internship stage itself, then it's good enough. But what if we don't find the calling? Is it going to be like a very drastic, catastrophic kind of thing because we did the wrong internship, or is it still manageable?
Oh, no. Don't bother about that. Don't think too much about your internships. I changed my internship twice. I did once at an office which was very bad. You were not even supposed to talk to your colleagues. It was a bad environment, and I didn't learn much. It was all AutoCAD, and I'm a Revit person, so I couldn't get through well. When my second internship was for a year long, which I did it at Moltech Technologies, and it was a US based firm, and it was almost very much about Revit and what I wanted to learn. I was learning about BIM. So when something like that, you can always, there is a second step to it. Please don't think internship is your only way out. So even if you start doing an internship and then they're like, okay, I'll give you a permanent place, they're not very well paying. So keep your mind open, keep your opportunities open. You can always learn. Don't stick to it. You learn whatever you want to learn from your internship. Go ahead, find another place. You will learn something better. Always keep your arms open to all the opportunities that you have.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Anything else, guys?
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Are there softwares that should be perfect, like which are more important? Yeah, about softwares, I think, guys, Revit and BIM is something that is on, which is the most important. There are a lot of architecture firms that are converting from AutoCAD to Revit, and they're going with BIM because they get their work done faster. So I recommend you to learn Revit and BIM, which is important, even if you're applying abroad or in India, anywhere. India, not yet, but in the US or BIM and Revit in BIM is really important. I think you should learn that software. And tomorrow we will, if I have cleared that doubt for you, Usmita, okay? And yeah, and guys, tomorrow I'll be starting the session exactly at sharp 5. So make sure you're there by 5. And if you have anything else, please mention it in the group, and you can always text sir about Abraham sir about everything. I hope I've done it well. And even if you have any feedbacks or if you want me to answer any questions tomorrow, please mention it in the group. Anything else, guys, or can I take a leave for now? So the third day of the course of this thing, the third day of the workshop would be, where how can I learn BIM? There are a lot of institutions that teach you BIM, and please give me a second, guys. So about the BIM, we can talk about BIM. Oh, sir is teaching BIM in class. I didn't know about that. You can approach sir. He will teach you right then and there. It's a very good thing. And I will be conducting courses about design and how to build your portfolio for end of the semester. So anybody who is interested in it can enroll, and you can talk to sir about how to enroll about it. And on the third day, you will be having portfolio review sessions. It's one-on-one. So if you want to show me your portfolio and ask any questions or how you want to improve, you can take the inputs of today's session, and then you can apply it for your portfolio, and you can come back to me. And there's also mock interviews. So if you're a little scared about how you want to go, or if you feel a little lukewarm about your interview day, then you can always have a mock interview. I will tell you how to answer your questions, but it'll be more easier about one-on-one. If you're interested of that sort, please contact sir. There'll be a certain fee for a one-on-one session. Contact sir, and he will let you know about everything. Okay, any more questions?
Apart from Revit, like in BIM softwares, what are the other softwares you like recommend learning?
I don't know. BIM and Revit is something that's just the
No, I
only
mean,
thing.
there are a lot of BIM softwares, like they have other softwares apart from Revit as well, right? Like,
I think Revit is the primary one for the BIM
yeah,
software. Yeah. So
okay.
I think just learn that, and if you're, if you're joining any sorts of BIM structures is also a software, but if you're joining, I am not a software person, so please, any sort of software questions, ask sir when you're doing that. So just learn Revit. I think that's essential, and then you can ask sir about, there are a lot of BIM structures. There's BIM for HVAC. So yeah, go ahead with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask that are there any internships that involve research along with maybe something similar interest, something like that?
Very good question. Excuse me for a minute. Yeah, that's a very good question, but let me tell you, there are no such research-based internships as of now. Any questions about internships will be answered tomorrow, but let me tell you beforehand, research internships are very, very few. You will have to do that in your master's if you're really interested in your research.
Okay, thank you. But that's really sad to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I will catch up with you guys tomorrow then. So anybody who isn't oh, thank you. I got this. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. You're welcome, guys. See you tomorrow. We'll be having a resume and your interview prep tomorrow. So anything about internships, interviews, and how to go about it will be told to you tomorrow. Thank you. You too have a good day, guys. Please follow ISAA India for more workshops. I could conduct a workshop about how to do research, and I can also conduct workshops about any masters you're planning about. So yeah, any workshops you're interested in, you can just check that. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm going to end the session now, guys.